Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Thunder Force 2, a Genesis classic seeing new life on the Nintendo Switch. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Technosoft, Thunder Force 2 released in 1988, not for the Genesis initially, but for the Sharp X68000 PC. The more popular and well-known Genesis port would release the following year in 1989, and in fact, this title happened to be a launch title for the Genesis in the North American region. It would not see very many ports though, unlike some of the other titles in the franchise. This one would only see release on the Sega Saturn as part of the Thunder Force Gold Pack, along with Thunder Force 3. Now fast forward to today at the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022, and it's now available as part of the Nintendo Online Service Expansion Pack. And, well, it's wonderful to have this title available for a wider audience, though I don't feel that the expansion pack is enough of a value to warrant picking up this title. Rather, it's not enough of a value to pick up just to get this particular title. That said, I feel like this one is a super interesting shoot 'em up that's a great part of the franchise's history, and I think it deserves being played. Just maybe wait for there to be a little bit more to the expansion pack before you pick it up. But there are 5 other shoot 'em ups, so maybe that might make it worth it for you. So first off, looking at the title itself, here we find ourselves at the title screen. If you press the 3 face buttons, A, B, and C, as well as the start button, that will take you into this configuration screen, which is not something that's mentioned as there's no manual or documentation really relating to this title in the Nintendo Online Services Genesis pack, so that is something to note as a negative. Here you can adjust which starting stage you start on, your rank, which is basically your difficulty, although keep in mind if you started on training, you will be set back to the title screen after finishing the stage. Then there's also the option to change your stock, your number of lives, your rapid, and there's also a music and a sound test, something that's actually definitely great to have, as the Thunder Force music for the Genesis was, well, some of the more notable songs that the console had. Although Genesis is wonderful music, it's definitely something I'll go and say. Starting the title, we have this good luck and the digitized voice that the series is kind of like known for. Kind of hard to understand what's actually being said there outside of the good luck, but then we actually begin the stage, and you might notice this doesn't look like Thunder Force 3 or Thunder Force 4. The Thunder Force 2 has top-down stages that scroll around in 8 directions, so we can scroll the stage in any of the cardinals as well as the diagonals. But it does have some elements that the series is known for. So we can swap between 2 weapons that we come equipped with, the back and the twin. So the twin, of course, fires forward, the back fires both directions. One thing to note is we have a ground shot that you might be able to see kind of hitting slightly in front of our fighter, which is the Fire Leo 2 Excelia. There is a little bit of a story relating to Thunder Force 1 present here as well, just something to keep in mind. So the game itself is comprised of these top-down as well as horizontal scrolling stages. There are 4 horizontal scrolling stages, and counting the final stage, 5 top-down stages. And in the top-down stages, our primary objective is to destroy 4 of these bases, kind of like the one that I've been flying next to. There's a central core that once you destroy, well, in a lot of the stages we get some power-ups. In this case we got a W and an F. The W in the top-down stages gives you this wide, which powers up our back shot. In addition, we also got the 5, which is this neat little spread shot that fires these boomerangs in the direction that you're flying. As far as the most useful weapon in these top-down stages, in most situations, I would say that the wide is your best bet, as you still have your ground shot, which is not actually available in all weapon modes, and then some great coverage in front of you and some coverage behind you as well. So we'll move through the rest of the stage, taking out these various like fortresses, boss nodes, talking a little bit about the weapons we get as well. So I just picked up the D, which is the Destroy. The Destroy is actually quite useful in these stages as well, as it provides you 3 ground shots, one in front of your ship, in addition to the 2 that are like shooting diagonally. So one thing that was interesting about this first stage is we've got these walls that break up the segments of the stage itself. There are these barriers that in order to pass between, we have to shoot the nodes on either end, then we can make our way through to the next section. So I just picked up Clash. This is a pretty, it looks like it should be an effective weapon, but I just feel like this one doesn't perform as well. Another somewhat frustrating element of the top-down stages, and really this game in particular, is unlike the other Thunder Force, when you die, you lose all of the weapons you had. So there we picked up the H, and this was actually the introduction of the iconic Hunter to the franchise, was in this title. One problem with the Hunter, though, in the top-down view, the Hunter disables your ground shot, so you're not actually able to destroy the bases to progress through the stage. So we'll just take a quick diving approach here and clear the first stage. We get our mission bonus, which is in the top-down, is related to the time it took you to complete the stage. In the horizontal scrollings, which we'll be starting the first of, your score total is, or your bonus is based off of your total shoot downs. So now, another thing that's really interesting is the game switches up the various power-ups. So when you're in horizontal, the power-ups you pick up will be different. So for powering up the back shot, we have an M, which gives us the Mega. Once again, a really effective one. Then we also have the series iconic Wave with the W. I don't know what it is about the Wave, but this one happens to be just one of my favorites to use whenever I'm playing Thunder Force title. So this stage itself is relatively straightforward. We've got enemies that are on the walls above and below us. In addition to that, there are these barriers that we have to destroy to move through. Be careful of those ones, as depending on what shot you have, you might not have cleared everything in front of you. And there are also, this Thunder Force 2 introduced the iconic Craw to the franchise. So it's possible to get 2 of them, and they really act as, in addition to providing you some additional firepower, they act like a very effective defense from enemy shots. There's also the B, which we can pick up, and you see right now, which gives you a temporary barrier. It doesn't really last all that long, but it does defend your ship basically from just about everything. So you can kind of go for broke while you have that defense. In addition to that, there's also this R, which increases the rotation speed of the Craw, making it that much more effective at defending you from enemy shots. There's also 2 other weapons I've picked up that I haven't talked about so far. So the side allows you to shoot above and below your ship. And we also have the Nova. This one kind of acts a little bit like the free range, so it's firing in the opposite direction that you're pointing. Definitely has its uses, but it's not as effective as some of your other weapons. So I'm going to take a quick second to use some of the features of the emulator that Nintendo provided here to back us up to a point before I died against our stage boss here. So this is the first stage boss. Relatively straightforward. He does have 2 phases. The first phase here, we're encountering these 2 lasers, and then he has this laser barrage when he opens up the core. Once we destroy his main laser, we have this phase here where he fires these red orbs at us and charges us. So after a few sets of this pattern, hopefully he should go down. One thing that I found is, even like though some of the other weapons are effective for getting through the stages, sometimes just your basic weapon does an excellent job of taking down the various bosses that you'll encounter. Like so. And that is basically Thunder Force 2 served up for your enjoyment. Now we'll repeat the same pattern of top-down stage followed by a side-scrolling stage, all the way till we get to the final top-down stage. And that one is a little frustrating, actually. So that one is against a super large battleship that's kind of core to the plot of this particular title. And one thing that I find is rather difficult about that particular fight is it's very difficult to hit the the installations on that ship that you need to destroy to trigger the end of the fight. But that's just a little bit of a complaint about the design and the difficulty of the title itself. One thing I do really like about this particular stage is just the fact that we're flying over this alien city. This one doesn't have the same wall barriers that the first stage did, although there are these skyscrapers you have to be careful while we're flying around. And that brings me to another issue that I do have with the title, and that's it's actually kind of difficult to find your targets on some of the stages. There is one that I feel that does a good job of leading you through them, but other than that one, which is the 4th top-down stage, you're often just kind of just flying around blind till you come across one of the bases like that. Picking up some more good weapons. Let's use the hunter until we find what we're looking for. So as far as the minus flavors are concerned, one of my biggest beefs with this particular title is that there isn't a map indicating where your targets would be. We're just kind of flying around till we come across areas where we know we've been before, or that we can find just stumble across our target. And this is a little bit of a frustration, as some of the screenshots I've seen from the original Sharp version, there was a map in that particular version. So it's just a question, why remove it from the Sega Genesis port? I feel like this title really was a super solid version of this particular title, so to see that oh, the L's is definitely worth talking about. To see that something like that was in the original but not this ported version is disappointing to say the least. And then there's an issue not so much with the game itself, but more with the way that it was released. As part of the Nintendo Online expansion pack, I just don't feel that for most people the value is going to be there in adding an extra $30 to an annual subscription just to have a shot to play some rare titles like Thunder Force 2 or Musha, Star Fox 64, which Star Fox 64 is available any number of other ways, and also Sin and Punishment. Those titles comprise most of the shoot 'em ups. Then you can also include Contra Hardcore and Gunstar Heroes in that pack. And as I was saying, I just don't feel like the value is there. But for the Plus flavors. So this one definitely has some awesome Thunder Force feel to it. Having like those weapons and seeing where a lot of like the iconic ideas in the franchise got their start is really something special. And this is a title that I've always enjoyed, partially because of how different it is from the other Thunder Force in the franchise. And really, like, that's, like, for me, is enough to have a look at this title and just really appreciate that they added this particular game to the expansion pack online service. So, if you have the Nintendo Online Service expansion pack, this is definitely a title that I think you should give some attention to. But otherwise, the expansion pack isn't worth it just for this one. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope you have a wonderful week yourself, and we'll see you next time.